What's up everyone, this is mhags art, and today I thought it would be fun to paint some Studio Ghibli landscapes, but I'm adding a little bit of a twist to it. I'm going to be painting 3 different scenes, and the first one I'm going to spend an hour on, the second one I'm going to spend 30 minutes on, and then the third one will only be 15 minutes. So the point is I'm cutting the time I'm allowed to have to complete the painting in half each time. Here is the photo that I will be attempting to recreate for my first painting, and yeah, I hope you stick around to see how it turns out. Let's go. Hello, this is now voiceover Emily. So my strategy for these paintings is I'm going to do a base with watercolor. The reason that I thought this would be a good idea is because watercolor tends to dry faster than gouache, at least in my experience. So I thought that would be good to at least get that foundation down in watercolor so that it dries quickly for, the sake of the timer. And that way I can go over the top of that base with the gouache with more detail. So again, here I am just laying down some base colors of the watercolors. Basically, I'm just blocking out the colors that I see in the picture, kind of having that background to work off of. And I'm adding a few details with the watercolor, like the lines of the stones. But now here you see I am starting to go in with the gouache, so it definitely allows me to do more detail, and it's a lot more opaque, so you can go right over the top of the watercolor, no problem. And something else I should mention is, unfortunately, for some reason my phone stopped recording in the middle of me painting, so you missed the whole painting of the gazebo and the cloud in the background, which is a big bummer, because I'm actually pretty happy with how they turned out, and the gazebo is like one of the main things in the painting, and so it was a bummer to not get that in there, but there it is. That's how it turned out, and now I'm just adding some final leaves, and I will send it back to Studio Emily. Alright, so we're coming up on the last minute here. I'm just gonna put in a final few leaves because I don't want to try and do something more detailed and not have time to finish. So I think that's all I can really do to finish this one up, is just make this area look more full. Oh, there it goes. I think once I got about 30 minutes in, I did realize how quick it was going and how much real detail there was. And basically, unfortunately, my phone cut out for some reason. I didn't get all the footage, but when I was painting the gazebo is kind of when I realized, this is where I'm gonna have to sacrifice definitely some detail here. And I would have loved to go back and do another layer on the roof and make it more detailed with the shingles and stuff, and maybe do the shading a little bit better, but within an hour you can only do so much. So I didn't want the plants or the foreground to look like it was an afterthought. So even though the gazebo is kind of like the main focus of the piece, I think I kind of was like, all right, let me get the foundation down, and then if I have time, I'll go back and work on it some more. And then by the time I was working on the leaves up here that are like the darker foreground, there was about 10 minutes left, and I was like, I just don't think I'm gonna have time to go back and work on the gazebo again. Once I realized how quickly an hour goes, I'm actually pretty happy with this. There are, of course, things that are gonna stand out to me that I would have liked to go back and fix and stuff, but that's just the challenge, right? Is what can you get done in an hour, especially for something like a Studio Ghibli landscape, which is usually very, very detailed. So, but you know what? It was a lot of fun. It was a great challenge. So I'm looking forward to attempting the 30-minute one. Also a little nervous now, but we'll see how it goes. And here is the photo that I will be recreating for the 30-minute second painting that I'll be doing. Yeah, so let's get started. All right, this is voiceover Emily back, and I'm basically approaching this painting the same exact way that I did the first one, which is by going in first with watercolor. And so you can see I'm putting down the sky here, but unfortunately what I did this time is I put way too much water down. So even though the point of me using watercolor was for it to dry faster than if I did the background in gouache, I accidentally used way too much water, which normally isn't a problem. But, you know, for this, where I wanted it to be something that dried quickly so that I could, you know, immediately paint gouache right on top of it, applying a lot of water was not the smart thing to do, basically. And so you'll see here soon that I'm going to dab it with paper towel just because I was like, all right, I need to sop up some of this water so that I can have it dry faster. And so I'm just going to go back over it. Unfortunately, I also sopped up the color on the water below, which I did not mean to do. I only wanted to do the sky. But, you know, mistakes happen and we try to fix them. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm just, you know, going back over with the blue, trying to even it out so that way I don't waste too much time on this step and can start going with gouache, which you can see I'm doing here right now. So basically just, you know, trying to get that cloud looking right, and because time was ticking away so quickly, I basically just had to slap down as much as I could, you know, so the details such as the house and the tree kind of end up looking sloppy. But anyway, it is time to throw it back to Studio Emily. All right, so we're coming up on the last minute, and I really didn't like the color of these clouds that I did, so I'm just trying to fix them. And yeah, maybe I'll go back and darken some of this up so it doesn't seem so stark compared to the rest of it. I think that's the problem I ran into, is even though those clouds were some of the darkest, I made it too blue and then it was just too dark and did not look good. Also, my cat Edison says hi. Like, I also don't like the watercolor. Ended up being too dark, I guess. All right, and that was 30 minutes, which, wow, again, I don't know why I'm surprised, but it definitely flew by. I think just the struggle that I had with this one was, of course, I couldn't really get into detail, and then because I had to work so quickly, I was globbing on gouache, and it didn't have time to dry in between. So, like, as you can see, I had to, like, glob on the house, and it just doesn't end up looking good which is sad because that's, like, one of the main focuses. And then the tree, too, I literally was just, like, I only got, like, 2 layers of colors. And then another struggle I was having was if I put the wrong color down, just due to lack of time, I never had time to go back and fix the color, really. So, like, I didn't like the color I put the first time on the water, so then I tried fixing it. I still didn't like it, so again, I had to leave it because no time. I tried to go over the island color a couple times, and I still never really had a chance to get it quite right, and same with the clouds, whereas if I had more time, obviously I would have gone and fixed it all and worked on it more and blended it better and stuff like that. So that's just the challenge, you know, when you're working quickly. So yeah, oh man, that was stressful, and I'm nervous going into the last one, but hopefully, because it again is only going to be a little more simple, I will hopefully be able to crank it out. So we'll see. This is the picture of the third and final painting I will be doing today. And yeah, so let's get started and see how that one turns out. Hello, this is voiceover Emily again, and basically my strategy going into the third and final piece for today was, of course, starting with watercolor as the base so that, you know, again, it'll dry quicker and we can not waste as much of that 15 minutes. And, you know, so I'm just trying to get as close as I can to the picture, picking whatever watercolor right out of the tray. I'm not wasting time mixing colors because I really want to get to using the gouache quickly. So my priority for the painting was, of course, the cloud. I wanted to get the cloud looking as good as I could in 15 minutes, which I know was maybe asking for a lot, but we can at least try. And then my second priority was if I could get a few sunflowers in, that would be great. And then the last priority was, of course, the grass. It would have been nice to have some time to get some detail in the grass, but unfortunately, there was no time. So it just looks like a green blob, but I will send it back to Studio Emily, because unfortunately my footage cuts out the rest of it and you don't get to see me painting the cloud or anything, which is a big bummer, but we'll talk about the results in a second. Wait, the timer's about to go off for my third painting here. This glorious masterpiece, as you can see, which I'm sorry you missed the majority of seeing painted. Funny enough, what you're probably gonna think I'm gonna say is that it flew by, but actually, my problem with this one is I really rushed in the beginning because I thought 15 minutes was gonna fly by so much faster than it did. And so I really rushed the clouds in the beginning, whereas I could have definitely taken more time to put a solid layer or two instead of globbing it down like I was doing, so that it could have actually dried, and then I could have gone back over and made it look a little nicer. So once I realized how much time I had left, I put in these stellar sunflowers, and I went back and I darkened the sky. I thought maybe that would help the cloud pop a little bit more, but yeah, this is the iconic Studio Ghibli cloud. Obviously, I knew the last one was gonna be the most challenging and also probably not that great, but that's what makes it fun, right? And now that I have this third one, it makes me like the second one so much more. So I actually don't hate the second one anymore. Obviously it's still not perfect, but you know what? It looks better compared to the third one. All right, y'all, so I gave it a few minutes to dry, so we're gonna peel off the washi tape now and see how it all looks. All right, there it is. I got a little bit of paint outside of the washi tape, but that's all right. So yeah, final thoughts. I think obviously the 1 hour turned out the best. Again, going back to the 30-minute one, it almost reminds me of like a thumbnail sketch. Like it's something very quick. Like this would be almost an example of if you were planning on painting the piece as a bigger piece and you kind of just wanted to figure out how to do it, what colors you want and stuff. It almost reminds me of that kind of painting where you're just like getting the ideas down. And then the last one, honestly, I don't think I'd hate the last one as much if I didn't slap down these like 5-year-old painted sunflowers, but I just wanted to get it in there so you'd at least know which scene I was trying to recreate. And I also think if this was just a basic cloud, I wouldn't even hate it that much, but because I know it's what cloud it's supposed to be and the fact that it doesn't look like it, I didn't have time to get the fluffiness or the shading just quite right. You know, that's the reason I think I hate it. But if I just look at it as a cloud, you know what, it's not that bad. It's a cloud, you know, it's not that bad. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint these scenes and had a little fun, you know, with the added twist and the challenge of it. And yeah, so normally I make bullet journaling videos, but I do want to start posting kind of art videos like this every once in a while. So if you enjoyed this video, please think about subscribing. It really means a lot to a small YouTuber like myself. And that should be it. So yeah, like I said, if you'd like to see more, subscribe, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Bye.